This deceptively simple question sparked a debate between my friends and me, and I want to share with you their views and the outcomes of their views. So the question says, if the tree in the image above falls and the log at the top happens to make a triangle with the ground and the remaining trunk, what will happen to the boy? Is the boy cooked or not? So let's find out whether the boy is cooked in the different cases. Case 1 says the boy is a point mass. He's assumed to be just a point, and the hypotenuse inclines perfectly. And this is what I mean by that. Assume that this is the trunk left after the tree has fallen, and that was 4 feet, okay? And now this is the ground going to the right. And now let's say the boy was around here, and we are assuming he is a point boy. So now this was 6 feet. From the base of the tree to the boy was 6 feet. The length required for the hypotenuse to start from here and move all the way to the boy is the square root of this squared plus this squared, which is by the Pythagoras theorem. So which should mean that we have square root of 4 squared plus 6 squared, which is square root of 52. So this is the length of the hypotenuse required to hit our point boy. But this particular, the square root of 52 is about 7 point something, and that is not up to the length that was given in the question. The length of the particular part that was going to form the hypotenuse is 8 feet. So 8 feet. So in that case, the boy is absolutely safe in this particular instance. Case 1, the boy is safe, assuming the boy is a point mass. The boy is still a point mass, but the log or the hypotenuse obeys physics. You might understand what I mean by that by looking at this diagram. You know very well that woods don't fall like that. They don't fall and just stay stuck unless they are not detached. So in this case, if it falls and it detaches, gravity will pull it down. So when gravity pulls it down, it falls horizontally and then it falls flat. So the only way that this boy can survive is that if the boy is too small to get hit, if the boy is too small as compared to the size of the log. You know, if the boy is like an ant or let's say an atom, but that's not the case here. Maybe the boy is significantly large. So in this case covers for when the boy is not even considered a point mass. In that case, the boy is cooked because it falls horizontally flat. It doesn't matter whether the boy is far away, here or not. As far as the boy is in the range, the log will fall horizontally flat on him. Third case, the boy isn't an idealized point anymore, and the triangle is a perfect right triangle. So in this case, what do we know? We know that the boy has a height, and we know that the particular log that forms the hypotenuse is going to pass the point where the boy is, but it's going to be elevated at an angle here, okay? So it will not depend on how close the boy is to this angle or how tall the boy is for him to get hit. So we should find the maximum distance that is needed for the boy to be safe. So over here, I found this to be the remaining distance from the boy to where the hypotenuse hit the ground to be 0.928 feet. If you're wondering how I found that, if you take this squared minus this squared, it will give you the whole of this squared. So after you find the whole of this line, you can subtract the 6 from it and you get this. Now, how do we find the height the boy needs in order to just be hit? Okay, the height from here to here that the boy needs in order to just be hit. So in other words, we are looking for the distance h from the ground to the hypotenuse. That is the maximum distance the boy needs to be, like the maximum height the boy needs to be. in order to not get hit by the log. So we can use similar triangles to find h by saying h divided by 4 is the same as, in the small triangle, the base for the small triangle is 0.928. I'm sorry, 0.928 divided by, for the big triangle, the base is 6 plus 0.928. Hang on while I calculate that. I computed the results and I got 0.536 feet. So the boy is supposed to be this short, this short, in order to not get hit by the log. So this is unimaginably small. So the boy cannot be this short. So realistically, if the boy was actually the size of a normal human being, he would get hit by all means, because the height that he would have to be to not get hit is too small. This was what my friend suggested. What if we consider a fourth dimension to be time? In that case, you can either talk about the same scenario days ago, which is this case. The same scenario days ago would have a shorter hypotenuse, because we know in biology that trees grow at the apex. I hope I got the terminology right, but the apical meristems will divide and then elongate the top part of the tree and not the down part. So the down part is just this way, and the top part, let's say there's a tree this way. You can go and look up how trees actually elongate. So the top part is increasing. It isn't that the stem is itself going down or something. The top part is increasing, thereby making this top part shift up. So that's how a tree grows. So since the tree grows that way, the days ago, this would have been shorter, the hypotenuse would have been shorter. And days later than today, like, which is the 8 feet we're talking about, would have been longer. Days later than that would have been longer. So he's talking about, why don't we consider a time when the situation was different? If the situation happens to be around 8 days, then it will just pass the boy around this area. If the situation happens to be 7 days, maybe it might hit the boy. So the tree growing and we considering time is also another factor, in which case we can just consider we know the boy's height to already be 0.536 feet, and we can exactly map out the day on which the boy will get hit by the hypotenuse if it grows, or if it kind of days ago, how it was. So this is the whole scenario. This is an overview of what we talked about and what we thought was the solution. So if you have any comments, you can put them in the comment section. If you have another way you think, I didn't even think about considering time as a dimension, so maybe you might also have your thoughts, so let's hear them.